Hey guys, welcome back to Zim Reads. Today I've got a book haul for you. We are going to go through 9 books, so I'm going to jump in and try to make this relatively quick. So the first book on my list is a book I actually own multiple copies of. I have this thing where if I see a book that I love out in the wild, and what I mean by out in the wild is at a bookstore for a relatively affordable price, usually a used bookstore, or in one of those little book boxes, the free little libraries. My neighborhood has like dozens of those in a 1 mile radius. There's a lot of them, so I harvest a lot from those. If I see a book I love, even if I already own it, I kind of feel the duty to snag it so that I can give it to somebody as a recommendation. So this is one of those books. It's one of my favorite books. It is by the late Pearl S. Buck. The book is The Good Earth. She won the Nobel Prize for this. I've been telling people she won the Pulitzer Prize, but apparently, according to this, it's the Nobel Prize. So someone has certainly gotten that wrong on a quiz or an exam because of my misinformation. But hopefully you can still trust me through this video and on this channel. Pearl S. Buck, The Good Earth. It's a wonderful book. I'm not going to jump into all of it, but the fact is Pearl S. Buck was born in China, lived in pre-revolutionary China, was able to provide a beautiful glimpse of Chinese peasant life and Chinese culture that in the 30s when this book was published would have been very, very groundbreaking and even today is extremely groundbreaking, not only because of the cultural content and the cultural representation, which is esteemed to be very accurate. She was born and raised in China, loved the Chinese people, and spoke Mandarin fluently and maybe even Cantonese. But she wrote this beautiful book, not only because of the cultural representation is this a worthwhile read, though the cultural representation alone is something wonderful in this novel. But what she does with the main character Wang Lung, the protagonist, who you love and root for and relate to on so many deep levels, and then who you hate and who you agonize over on so many other levels, what it surfaces in your own being. It's a lovely, lovely novel, worth multiple reads. Highly recommend it. If you've never read it, Pearl S. Buck, The Good Earth. She's written tons of other stuff. This is the most critically acclaimed offering to the literary world, and it's worth reading. Pick it up. Pearl S. Buck, The Good Earth. Okay, the next one here is something I don't know that I'll read. But it's something that I love to have on my shelves, and as a fellow bibliophile and lover of books, redundant, you'll understand that sentiment, why I can't resist some books. So this is something simple. It's just a paperback. It's 3 plays by Thornton Wilder. We've got Our Town, The Skin of Our Teeth, and The Matchmaker. I've only heard of Our Town. I've never heard of The Skin of Our Teeth or The Matchmaker, but I'm excited to own this. And eventually, maybe when I really get into reading plays, I'll probably jump in on this. I did recently finish A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry, a play well worth reading, well worth owning, well worth discussing. It's stunning. There's a reason Lorraine Hansberry, who had a short life, died at the age of 34 of cancer. She was a lovely woman, and A Raisin in the Sun is a lovely, lovely contribution. So she's kind of intrigued me as it relates to reading plays, and so maybe I'll jump into this, but that's another book I picked up. All right, next one is a biography by a woman named Susan Butler, and this has been esteemed by the Washington Post book world as being the single best book that we now have on Earhart. Amelia Earhart. There she is, right there in front of an aircraft. I, like many others, are super intrigued by Amelia, her life, her last journey and the mystery surrounding her death. This isn't going to answer that question for me, but I love to read biographies, and this is a beautiful book, and it's called East to the Dawn, The Life of Amelia Earhart. So I'm excited to jump in. Gore Vidal wrote, "Of the dozen or so books, mostly wild fantasies, that I have read about Amelia Earhart, Susan Butler's is the only one which recreates accurately that singular woman whom my father was in love with, as indeed was I, aged 10, when the lady vanished." That's lovely. Okay, moving on. This next one, I've never heard of this. I thought the cover was beautiful, and it was in one of those book boxes. And so I was like, okay, let me grab this. This is something I could find myself engrossed by. It seems right up my alley, as they say. This is a book entitled The Defiant by M. Quint, or Quint, I don't know. But The Defiant by M. Quint. And the cover's beautiful. It's got this matte half dust jacket, and look at that, an embossed compass with silver embossation, as it's called by the kids these days. This is a beautiful book, and it's a young adult. It's a book that is like a modern twist on the old pirate novel, I guess, according to some of the acclaim around it. So I'm excited. It's beautiful. It looks like something that could be stimulating. That's The Defiant by M. Quint. The next book, I picked up another one that I felt like I needed to snag, not only because even if I already owned a copy of this, I would have snagged this anyway, but because my collection, my series is a little fragmented right now for one reason or another, and so I had to grab this, and that is simply a paperback version of Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Year 6. Gotta have it. I didn't have this. It's filling in some of the holes of my collection. So there we have it. The next one is a book that has been reviewed time and time again on BookTube, almost so much that I'm even embarrassed to even bring it to you guys, but it is Kate L. Turabian's A Manual for Writers. Over 9 million sold and reviewed on BookTube. A manual for writers of research papers, theses, and dissertations. Chicago style for students and researchers. Deep dish research papers right here. Grabbed it as a reference book. Glad to have it on my shelf. Next, we are going to grab... We've got 3 more to go, folks. This one I'm super thrilled about. I'm not going to be able to get to it for a while because I'm doing this thing where I'm going through this author's work chronologically as they were published. And so this is actually the last of his 5 books. You guessed it. It is Turtles All the Way Down by the lovely John Green. I'm a little bit far away from diving into this one just because I've only I'm over halfway now through Looking for Alaska, the first novel. So I've still got 3.5 novels to go before I get to this guy. But I'm thrilled about this. I've seen a lot of your reviews on it, and I'm excited. And it's a beautiful copy of it as well. Hardcover and just lovely. So excited to jump in on this. Glad I've got it. That came in the mail this week. I'm waiting on the other 3.5. Hopefully they get here before I'm done with Looking for Alaska. But yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do an analysis of John Green's writing and growth as a writer and storyteller and all that when I get through all 5 of the books. Next one is something I was super thrilled to discover and then super let down and disappointed to discover what has happened to this lovely copy. This is Joseph Heller's Catch-22. I've never read this book. It's obviously, published in 1961. It is something that has just been out there for a long time. Lots of people have talked about it. I know it's even been banned in some places at different times. Apparently controversial. I have no idea what it's about. I've never read it, but I was excited to see, this lovely paperback old copy printed, I don't know when. Doesn't always easily say. Looks like this one was 1970. So this is 1970s printing. So man, love having old copies of books. Here's the problem. This book is missing the back cover and apparently the back few pages, or maybe many pages, but it ends in the middle of a sentence. I don't know if you can see that, but that is unfortunate. Page 474, kindly 475 and 476 fell out and they put it in the front cover, tucked away here safely, but I don't know if 476 is where the book ends either, so I'm a little scared to jump in and read this and then be on a cliffhanger wondering, or maybe thinking that's the end of the book and not knowing for years. And everyone's like, have you read Catch-22? And I'm like, yeah, the ending is bonkers. And they're like, I know. And we're talking about different endings. One positive, though, the book smells like pipe tobacco. So someone was either smoking a pipe while they were reading this paperback, which is just lovely, probably in the 70s or 80s or 90s. Isn't that the great thing about having an old book? It's been held, it's been smoked over, and maybe even it's been smoked. Some of these pages may have been ripped out for that purpose. Who knows? But I'm not going to dive into this copy, but I'm excited to have it anyway. It's a relic, okay? It's an artifact. So glad to have it. And now we have reached the last book in my book haul. I'm so excited about it. Won the 2017 National Book Award, and that is Jesmyn Ward's Sing Unburied. Sing, I am thrilled about this. And it's that lovely matte paperback and Scribner's release of this. It's quite lovely. So I'm excited. Let's just read the first sentence. This one I'm thrilled to jump into. Chapter 1, Jojo. I like to think I know what death is. Yes! I'm excited about this. It's going to be delicious. I'm sure of it. And you'll have a review coming from this soon. I saw a lot of reviews back in 2017 on this, so I'm a little bit late to the game as usual. Hence my John Green extravaganza or something, firestorm or hurricane or something. But I'm excited to jump into this nonetheless. And yeah, that's my book haul. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.